Hello again and welcome. My name is Tom Leveen. I'm an award-winning author and Bram Stoker Award finalist, and this is, I don't know what it's called, Watch Me Write or Write Your Novel or something. In any case, if this is your first time with me, the conceit here of this particular program was that I was going to start a brand new novel, no ideas, no plans, no preparation, and jump in so that you can see my process from absolute beginning to absolute end. And this will not end until the book, actually even after the book comes out, whether that's independently published or traditionally published, doesn't matter, because the author's journey is not over when the book comes out. Ask me how I know. So, picking up, I believe this is episode 4, we're picking up where I left off in chapter 2 of what is currently called the Armageddon Girls. The number one goal when you're working on whatever your project is, whatever your story, novel, etc., the main thing is to not stop. When you've got a flow going, just keep on rolling and don't ever, don't stop to research something, because God forbid you go to Google, your day is over. You've experienced this, I'm sure. So if you see here on the page, you'll see some things that are capitalized. That's something I've started doing recently, just to remind myself, oh yeah, when I hit a capitalized word, it's to go back and research something else. For example, I am 90% sure that the white/Spanish settlers of the Southwest were not Dominican, but I don't remember for sure. I just got to go back and double check that and make sure I got those facts correct. I know that we had woven the indigenous people here in my part of the country. You were expert and are expert basket weavers and weavers of other material, but I don't remember for sure. I can't remember exactly what they did weaving with, so I called it cottonwood. It's not cottonwood, that's a tree, but I'll go back and I'll fix that later. So I do not have an outline. I have an idea. I have a sense of where things are going to go, but I have nothing written down. No hero's journey, no anything like that. We're just kind of rolling. So you'll notice I'm capitalizing Smith because it's probably not going to be Smith. I'll come back and change it later, but I need to keep rolling. One of the things I don't like about what I've just done is I was thinking about I wanted some kind of holiday, or, you know, Halloween is too trite, but I wanted some kind of like religious holiday to hang the supernatural aspect on. Most readers are probably fine with that. Good Friday, that's like the quote-unquote sort of like worst day in Western Christianity, because it's the day of the burial of Christ. Okay, so that's got some good supernatural, you know, to it. The problem is it's also based on our modern Gregorian calendar that has absolutely nothing to do with the exact day or day of the week or much of anything else related to that. So I don't know if I'm going to keep that. I prefer my, lately I've preferred to go as quote-unquote realistic with my horror as I possibly can, and hanging supernatural, spiritual, magical elements to a relatively modern calendar, I think that just doesn't work for me. It's not terribly realistic. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I'm going to leave it because it's more important to get the words out. So let's talk about swearing. One of my favorite topics. I've already tried to avoid it in the first chapter, and now here I'm already doing it. It's like page 4, not even page 4. Actually, and I've got them swearing. I like to. I do it in my personal life, I do it in my writing, but if you're going to, you have to understand your genre and understand where it is. You have to understand your genre, and you have to understand where your sales are going to come from. If you're okay with them just being at bookstores and Amazon, not a problem. If you're writing something young adult, or never mind, middle grade or lower, you just really can't. I mean, you can have it in YA for sure. I certainly do. But the thing is, interestingly, I would argue that a lot, I could be wrong about this, I've definitely decreased my usage over the years, mostly because I want to make sure I get into schools. But not only that, those words are just as much a part of character as any of the other words, as any other word. So would this character actually use these words, and if so, in what context and in what scenario, what setting would they use them. In this setting, the reason I just automatically went to this word is because it's going to be the four girls somewhere private or semi-private having this discussion, and I like that there's this this thing about they gave her the best advice they could. What are you thinking? And it's got this kind of punch to it that I like. So I'm going to keep it. I may end up changing it, but that's why it's there. I like what it does to the reader. I don't believe these characters are going to be, trucker mouth or anything like that, but who knows? It's early, and I'm nowhere near my word count for the day, so anything could happen. What was I going to say about that? Okay, this, scroll down a little bit. This miniature train thing, that's a real thing. I cannot remember exactly where I've seen it before, but it was on a road trip, and it was somewhere in my part of town, my part of the country, rather. There was an ice cream shop, but it was some kind of little diner / ice cream shop, whatever, and there was this little train that was up near the ceiling, and it just ran consistently all throughout the thing. I'm sure I've got either a picture or video of it somewhere, but I remember it. At the time of this recording, we are still in the middle of the COVID-19 crisis, and smart people anyway, are staying home as best they possibly can. There's not a lot of traveling, there's not a lot of going out to eat, there's not a lot of just, hey, let's go on a road trip, not a lot of that going on. Hopefully, that's going to be over at some point here in the near future, and I bring this point up, I highlight this little thing to emphasize how important it is that we as storytellers get out of our zone. We need to get out and go have adventures, go on road trips, go visit places, take notes, take photos, give yourself a little recorded notes on your phone, whatever it takes. But if you don't get out and see things, then you don't have as many ideas. It's a pretty simple arithmetic there, in my estimation. So this is a real thing. It's a small detail. Maybe it is an important detail. Maybe it isn't. I don't know, but I'm going to include it because, again, in revision, I can always go back and cut it if I need to. But it's a cute little thing that gives you kind of hopefully a sense of like, oh, this is like it's a fun kind of place, and that's what I want right now out of this scene. Now might be a good time to point out a comment that I received online about the first chapter of this story, and that the four girls seemed very similar, which is a great comment, by the way. If you ever get a comment like that from a beta reader or an editor, take it seriously, because that's huge. We don't want these four characters to sound alike or to be undifferentiated. But something that's happening here is, again, no outline, no plan, so I'm just kind of making this up as I go, and finding out their voices and their characteristics and where just who they are right now. Okay, now as I'm working on this, Jane is, again, with whether it's through profanity or whether it's through her physicalization or the things that she's talking about, she's not coming across as the leader of the group, but she's definitely coming across as like kind of a little bit hard-headed, a little bit more practical, a little bit like, hey, we got to really look at this, in practical terms, and then just sort of call it inspiration or call it whatever you want, having Darcy laugh out loud at this line, "You're my best friend, it's not my job to be fair," and the fact that Darcy laughs at that and the other girls don't, says something about Darcy, and that's cool. Now, it may be that tomorrow or a week from now or a month from now, a year from now, I get back to this and realize that's not really Darcy's character, that's more of a Sam thing, so I'm going to switch the names or whatever. But this process of discovery this is the fun part. This is the best part, and this is why I'm writing without an outline. Because one of the things that I noticed recently, the last 5 or so years, is trying to write to an outline. I start cramping up. Like, I just don't have that free-flowing discovery that I get if I just say, let's go, and see what happens. Generally in my stories, novel length or otherwise, I have a good idea of how it's going to end very, very soon. This one I don't. It's too soon to know how it's going to end, but I know where the bulk of the plot is headed, and it's actually irrelevant. Anyway, so yeah, process of discovery, and in any event, that critique that I received is absolutely true. You do not want your characters to all sound alike. That's, oh man, and you've read those books where it's happened, right? So, big no-no. Make sure your characters are easily identifiable. just by what they say, what they're talking about, how they say it, things like that. I didn't quite reach my word count goal today. I try to get 2,000 words a day in if I can, on days that I'm actually writing, which is not every day. Hopefully I'll do some more tonight, although it'll probably be on a different story altogether. But I'm happy with this. I've got my characters. I have personally worked out some of the little, character types and things that I'm going to need for these girls going forward. I know what happens next. I'm not going to tell you now, of course, but I know where this is headed, and it is bad, because it has to be bad. It's a story. That's the whole point of stories. Bad things happen, and then we see what happens afterward. But I am starting to get a better sense of the characters. Jane, again, not really, doesn't have a big laugh, she's not terribly humorous, versus Darcy has this kind of like ongoing low-grade giggle almost like all the time, very footloose and fancy-free. Still working on Allison and Sam a little bit, but I think we've at least made some progress. And being on page 6, that's not bad. That's a good place to be. And also knowing what's going to happen next and kind of the next few steps after that, I'm happy with that. I'm content with that. I can move on with the rest of my busy day and come back to this tomorrow and see how things are going to unfold on the page. So, if you have not yet, go ahead and visit Fiction Mentor? Yeah. If you haven't yet, visit fictionmentor.com and you can go find the actual printout of the story and keep up with it as we go. If you want to read through it, totally fine. Also, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel yet, please do that. Those subscriptions mean an awful lot to me. The more subscribers I get, the more I can actually do with the channel, and the more time I can invest into the channel, and the more money I can invest into the channel if I know that it's actually serving you. So that would be super cool. Make sure you do that subscription. And then you can follow along with me pretty much anywhere. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I think those are the main ones. And you can jump on that anytime you want to. Every Sunday night at 6 p.m., depending on the time of year, around 6 p.m. Arizona time. We'll just say 6 p.m. Arizona time. I do an event, a live event, across Facebook and Twitch and Twitter called First Page Sundays. If you would like to be a part of it, it's really cool. You just email me the first page of something that you're working on, and we will read it live on the show and then give some feedback and critique, myself and any of the other folks who have tuned in that night, and it's just a lot of fun. Sometimes we have some guest authors come in, and it's just really cool. So that's every Sunday night, 6 p.m. Arizona time, on Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. Yeah, so check those out. Thank you very much. I hope you're enjoying this adventure. If there's any questions you have about this, or anything to do with writing, publishing, anything like that, just go ahead and drop a comment, question, whatever. I respond to everything. So we'll see you again very soon, and as always, keep writing.